In the center of Solitude, we find a large tower that looks to be some kind of ancient school or university. As we approach, we realize that it is a school, Bards College to be exact. After stepping inside and turning right, we find a man named Viarmo sitting on a bench and sipping from a mug.
I generally don't involve myself in politics. Good tales deal with the issues of the day, but a wise bard remains a neutral observer. We bards record history. We do not make it. You do well to remember that.
Tell me, Viarmo, has this ongoing war affected your college at all?
Not much, but as a bard, I find the whole affair depressing. There are no heroes in this war, no winners to be had, and no real conclusion. If you want something a bard can dig into, look to the dragons. 1,000 years from now, Skyrim will have changed rulers dozens of times, but the return of the dragons, that story is once in an era.
I see. Well, hey, listen, I'm looking to apply to the college. How do I go about doing that?
Always a pleasure to meet a prospective bard. You should be aware that many apply, but we accept very few people. When possible, we ask applicants to perform tasks the college needs completed. In this case, I do have a task befitting an aspiring bard.
I had a feeling becoming a bard wouldn't be easy. All right, Viarmo, what do you need me to do?
Elisef has forbidden the burning of King Olaf, a festival put on by the Bards College. We need to change her mind. To convince her, I want to read King Olaf's verse, a part of the Poetic Edda, the living history of Skyrim. Unfortunately, the verse was lost long ago.
Let me guess. That's where I come in.
Yes, according to Jarl, our history's keeper, the portion of the Edda dealing with King Olaf might still exist in Dead Man's Respite. I need you to retrieve the poem.
This starts the quest, Tending the Flames. So, Viarmo, tell me more about why Elisef wants to put an end to this festival.
As you may be aware, Elisef's husband, High King Torrig, was recently killed. Elisef mourns her husband deeply, and she feels that a festival that burns a king in effigy is distasteful. I tried to convince her the festival is many centuries old and celebrates solitude, but I need proof. I believe King Olaf's verse will provide that proof.
So what exactly is the Poetic Edda?
I think Jarl here would give you the best explanation of both it and the history of King Olaf's verse. You should speak to him about it.
With that, we can go speak to Jarl, who happens to be in the middle of a conversation when we approach, so we can politely wait our turn.
I'm sure it will be fine. Just don't be late.
Excuse me, Viarmo said you could tell me a little bit about the Poetic Edda?
He's sending you after King Olaf's verse, then. That's good. We shouldn't leave it lying around now that I figured out where it is. The verse was Svafnir's contribution to the Poetic Edda, the living history of Skyrim. Each bard adds to the Edda in his or her time.
Oh, I see. So King Olaf's verse is a lost part of the Edda.
And a very ancient one. The verse criticized the reigning King Olaf. He was so incensed the bard was put to death and all the copies burned. At least, that's what we thought until I translated some ancient texts a year or so ago. We now believe King Olaf buried the truth with the bard. If I'm right, Svafnir and King Olaf's verse lie in Dead Men's Respite, along with the burial chamber of King Olaf himself.
And on that note, we can head back out to the streets of Solitude. Since Dead Men's Respite is an undiscovered location, we have to fast travel to a nearby location and then make the rest of the journey on foot. We could have fast traveled to Robber's Gorge or to Crabber's Shanty, but I decided to head just southeast of Dead Men's Respite to Brood Cavern. Immediately after arriving, we get attacked by a cave bear. There's another cave bear on top of a rocky ledge, but I decided to try to make a run for it. Unfortunately, we weren't quick enough, forcing us to turn around and fight back. Peering out over the side of a cliff, we can see what looks like the entrance to an ancient Nordic tomb off in the distance. This must be Dead Men's Respite. After carefully making our way down the side of the cliff and then crossing a river, we can examine an altar sitting just outside the entrance. On it, we find some embalming tools. Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. Inside, we can follow a tunnel north until we reach a chamber. On the opposite end of the chamber is the ghost of a man, staring at us as if he was waiting for us to arrive. Hoping to speak with him, we rush around an altar to the other side of the chamber, but he's gone. Who was this man, and why did it seem like he knew we were coming? On the altar in the center of the room, we find some ruined books, more embalming tools, and a ruby dragon claw. We go to take it, but when we do, a number of draugrs awaken from their tombs and attack. After looting the draugrs and picking up a coin purse sitting inside one of the tombs, we can travel through an iron door to the north, where we find a potion of vigorous healing and an elven sword. We can then head back to where we saw the ghost earlier and continue forward through a gate that must have opened when we took the dragon claw. The ghost appears again, but when we rush to catch up to it, we accidentally step on a pressure plate and narrowly avoid getting impaled by half a dozen spears. Did you see that? Did you see how close we were to getting impaled? Heading down some stairs to the north and then more stairs to the east, we find a couple of soul gems that we can loot sitting on a candle-lit table. The path continues to the south and then loops around to the north until eventually we come to a chain hanging next to a large stone barrier. When we pull it, there's the ghost again. It almost seems as though he is leading us somewhere. Could he be taking us to King Olaf's verse? Wait a minute. Giro told us that the bard that wrote the piece was sentenced to death and buried in this very tomb along with King Olaf. Now it all makes sense. This is the ghost of Svaknir. After taking out a couple of frostbite spiders, we can loot an urn for some gold and then cut down some spider webs to the south. Tucked away behind the spider webs, we find an apprentice-locked chest with some loot inside. Next to the chest, we find an iron shield and a couple of potions, but this is a dead end. So we have to retrace our steps back to where we killed the frostbite spiders and turn to the south. There's a second chain for us to pull, revealing a long hallway that we can follow to the east. But before we go any further, we have to deal with a couple of draugrs, one of which is wielding a sword and the other a bow and arrow. I always seem to fall into traps at the worst possible time, and it doesn't help that these darn pressure plates are so hard to spot. After looting a soul gem, a potion of vigorous magicka, and a coin purse, we can pick up a nearby copy of The Buying Game, which slightly boosts our speech skill. Incidentally, this too is a dead end, so we have to retrace our steps for a second time and then head north, at which point we draw the attention of another restless draugr. Thankfully, I was able to cut him down before he had a chance to do any damage. Heading west and then north, we find another draugr lying lifeless on the floor. I didn't kill this one though. Did the ghost of Svaknir take it out for us? After walking down some stairs to the west, we're thankfully able to spot a pressure plate before we step on it. Creeping around it, we can turn a corner and then get a glimpse of what our fate would have been had we activated the trap. Yeah, that would not have been good. To the north is a chamber with 2 frostbite spiders. Other than some minor loot and more ruined books than we can count, there's nothing significant in this chamber. But there is a chain hanging against a pillar to the east. Pulling it opens one of the grates in the floor, revealing a dark pit with water at the bottom. With no stairs for us to use to make our descent, we're left with no choice but to jump. After wading through some ankle-deep water, we find ourselves in a large chamber with several aggressive draugrs, including one that's firing arrows at us from up on a ledge. After exploring the area but coming up empty, we can head up a wooden ramp that wraps around one of the chamber's pillars. On top is a cage connected to a catwalk, but after we open the gate, thinking that I could avoid the swinging axes if I took my time, I made my way out into the middle of the catwalk, but that didn't work out so well. Let's just be honest, there's really no way to get past traps like this without taking a hit or two. With that in mind, I accepted my fate and made a mad dash across. On the other side, we find a chain connected to one of the pillars, which, when pulled, stops the swinging axes. Oh, so now Bethesda gives us a way to stop their horrifying death trap. It's just not even fair. After climbing up another wooden ramp, we can pass through a set of double doors into a tunnel. To our right is an urn with a few pieces of gold and a potion inside of it, and nearby we find an arcane enchanter with another potion resting on a table next to it. Heading west past some more ruined books, we come to another set of double doors, but they're sealed shut with some type of magic. Instead, we can head down some stairs to the north, where we find more draugrs waiting for us. The hallway then branches off into two directions, one to the north and one to the south. If we head to the north, we find an expert-locked iron door. Inside is a master-locked chest containing 277 gold, an orcish sword and armor, and some steel plate gauntlets. Continuing through the tunnel to the west, we find ourselves in a large chamber. A draugr grunts from somewhere in the shadows, and the gate behind us drops, locking us in. Looks like we're in for a fight. After killing the draugrs, we notice that there are a few different paths for us to take. There's one path to the west, one path to the south, and another path leading south on the opposite end of the room. There's also a chain in the middle of the room, which opens up a grate in the floor. Thankfully, this pit has some stairs for us to use, unlike the last one. But before we head down, I wanted to explore the area. If we head down the southern hallway closest to the chamber's entrance, we find an unlocked chest with some loot inside. But after taking it, we activate a trap and get impaled by some poison arrows. Heading back into the main room and then taking the second path leading south, we find nothing. No chest, no loot, nothing. Incidentally, the path to the west doesn't have any loot either, so we can go back into the chamber and begin our descent into the bowels of Dead Men's Respite. There's another stone barrier blocking our way, but we can pass through it by activating a small handle on the wall to the left. It's here that we find the ghost of Svaknir sitting on a bench waiting for us, though sadly we're unable to interact with him. On the floor next to him is a corpse, with King Olaf's verse clutched in his hand. Now it all makes sense. The ghost of Svaknir was leading us to his own corpse, and in turn to the verse we have to acquire for Viarmo. O Olaf our subjugator, the one-eyed betrayer, death-dealing demon and dragon-killing king. Your legend is lies, lurid and false. Your cunning capture of Numenex, a con for the ages. Olaf grabbed power by promise and threat. From Falkreath to Winterhold, they fell to their knees. But Solitude stood strong, Skyrim's truest protectors. Olaf's vengeance was instant, inspired, and wicked. So ends the story of Olaf the Liar, a thief and a scoundrel we of Solitude commit to fire. In Solitude, bards train for their service. They also gather each year and burn a king who deserves it. Well, it's no wonder King Olaf didn't like this verse very much and sentenced its writer, Svaknir, to his death. If there's one thing kings don't take kindly to, it's being called a liar. Strangely enough, much of this verse seems to be blacked out, and we're only able to read parts of it. Hopefully, Viarmo will have answers for us when we get back. After closing the book, the ghost of Svaknir mysteriously disappears again. After looting his corpse for some gold, we can head back up the winding staircase and travel east through the gate that closed on us earlier. After heading up some stairs and taking out a restless Draugr, we find a pedestal with some soul gems. But when we go to loot them... these damn traps. We find the ghost of Svaknir standing near the sealed door we came across earlier. He uses magic to open it, then draws his sword and rushes through. Looks like he's preparing for a battle. But with who? Svaknir's ghost disappears through a large door to the west. On the door we find an outer ring with the image of a wolf, a middle ring with the image of what looks like a dragon, and an inner ring with the image of an eagle. In the center of the door is a keyhole that looks very similar to the design of the ruby dragon claw we picked up after we first entered Dead Men's Respite. Looking at the dragon claw, we notice that there are 3 images of animals similar to the ones on the door. Wolf, eagle, wolf. If we turn each of the rings on the door to match this pattern, wolf, eagle, wolf, we can then insert the dragon claw into the keyhole and voila! The door opens. We follow the hallway into a large chamber, with the ghost of Svaknir standing in a pool of water surrounded by Draugrs, all of which are sitting on a throne.
Olaf, it is time.
Olaf? Did he just call out Olaf? One by one, the Draugrs rise from their thrones, but they prove to be no match for us as we fight alongside Svaknir, who surprisingly makes a fantastic ally. We can examine the wall to the south for a whirlwind dragon shout, but the battle wasn't over just yet.
Olaf! Insolent rat! Die!
And there he is. King Olaf One-Eye bursts free from his tomb and attacks. After defeating King Olaf, we can watch the ghost of Svaknir make a rather dramatic exit. Thank you for your help, Svaknir, and may you continue to rest in peace. On King Olaf's body, we find some loot and the key to King Olaf's treasury, which we can use to unlock the set of iron doors that Svaknir stood in front of when he made his holy departure. Inside, sitting on a table, we find an unlocked chest with a generous amount of gold, some lockpicks, and an elven dagger of enervating, which has a damage of 20 and deals 50 points of magicka damage. It's also pretty valuable for a dagger, with a value of 868, meaning that we could always sell it to a vendor for a substantial payday. There's an elven battle axe in front of the chest, and a potion of minor magicka to the right. After looting a coin purse lying among some rubble and debris, we can pull a lever to reveal a long dark tunnel lit only by a few torches burning on the sides. If we continue south, we eventually come to the main entrance leading back out to Skyrim. From there, we can fast travel north back to Solitude, where we find Viarmo waiting for us inside Bards College.
Ah, you've returned. How goes the task I gave you?
Well, it was tough, but I was able to find King Olaf's verse. Here, take a look.
I have to admit I didn't think it would actually be there. Now, let's take a look at this. Oh. Oh, no. This won't do at all. The copy is incomplete. It's aged to the point that parts are unreadable. And the parts that are readable, well, bardic verse has come a long way since ancient times.
So, what are you telling me?
It means I can't read it to the court. Without the verse, I won't be able to convince Elisef of the importance of the burning of King Olaf festival. If she isn't convinced of the festival's importance, then she won't reverse her decision to stop the effigy burning. It means that the burning of King Olaf, which the Bards College has held for time immemorial, won't be happening.
Well, maybe we could just make up a few lines to complete the verse. Would that work?
Make it up? That doesn't seem appropriate. I suppose I could copy his style based on what you brought me, but I have no idea what happened in between these verses.
All right, Viarmo, we could do this. What's the first verse?
O Olaf, our subjugator, the one-eyed betrayer, death-dealing demon and dragon-killing king, your legend is lies, lurid, and false. Your cunning capture of Numenex, a con for the ages. King Olaf was Olaf One-Eye? He famously captured the dragon Numenex and took him to Dragon's Reach. What do we say really happened?
How about we say that Olaf found the dragon asleep?
Nah! All right, I'm writing that in. I'm not sure about the court, but I find that much more probable than Olaf capturing a dragon.
All right, what's next?
Olaf grabbed power by promise and threat. From Falkreath to Winterhold, they fell to their knees. But Solitude stood strong, Skyrim's truest protectors. Olaf's vengeance was instant, inspired, and wicked. Strange. According to history, Solitude attacked Winterhold, but Asgeir seemed to be saying Olaf reacted. What do we say happened?
Maybe Olaf ordered disguised troops to attack Solitude?
And they got the orders backwards. Ha! Yes, I'm writing that in. It should be good for a laugh from the court.
All right, so is that it then?
It has a few final lines, but that's all we needed to add. I need to head to court immediately and present this. You should come.
With that, we can follow Viarmo through the streets of Solitude to Blue Palace. And needless to say, he seems to be quite excited to present the new version of King Olaf's verse to the court.
I do hope the court likes the verse. I think we've done an excellent job of recreating it.
Once inside Blue Palace, we find Viarmo waiting for us.
I do hope the court likes the verse. I think we've done an excellent job of recreating it.
So you ready for this?
I think my voice is ready. I hope we've done this well.
Viarmo makes his way up some stairs and presents himself to Elisef.
Ah, Viarmo. I assume you are here to petition for the reinstatement of the burning of King Olaf festival.
I am, Jarl. I wish to present King Olaf's verse from the Poetic Edda, recovered this very day from the Bard's tomb.
You mentioned something that would convince us the festival should take place, but I didn't expect King Olaf's lost verse. Please proceed.
O Olaf, our subjugator, the one-eyed betrayer, death-dealing demon and dragon-killing king, your legend is lies, lurid, and false. Your cunning capture of Numenex a con for the ages. No shouting match between dragon and man. No fire or fury did this battle entail. Olaf captured a fast-sleeping dragon, a mighty feat which the meek would not fail. Olaf grabbed power by promise and threat. From Falkreath to Winterhold, they fell to their knees. But Solitude stood strong, Skyrim's truest protectors. Olaf's vengeance was instant, inspired, and wicked. Olaf gave orders, Winterhold disguises, an attack on Solitude, total destruction to follow. His men dressed up and then went out to fight, but they reversed Olaf's orders, much to Winterhold's sorrow. So ends the story of Olaf the liar, a thief and a scoundrel we of Solitude commit to the fire. In Solitude, bards train for their service. They also gather each year and burn a king who deserves it.
You have proven your point, Viarmo. The festival is truly a celebration of solitude and a condemnation of false kings.
I thank you, and the college thanks you, Jarl.
Furthermore, I believe that such a fine poem deserves some payment of patronage. The college will be generously rewarded.
Oh, thank you yet again. I will make sure our applicant, who was instrumental in recovering the poem, will be well rewarded. Unbelievable! You have done us a great service here. I can't begin to thank you enough.
So, does this mean that I'm a bard now?
Soon.
Meleron, you lazy
These
milk
things
drinker.
must be done properly. You will be inducted as part of the festival itself.
Indeed, I have, sir. Daedric
I
will
need
for
you to
their
go
armies,
speak
sir.
to Yorn.
Daedric
He was
material
preparing the
that poor
effigy of
workers
King
use.
Olaf.
Like
Tell him
most
to
of what
finish
we
the
get from
preparations. The festival is back on!
We find Yorn back in Bards College.
Ah, the bard-to-be. Did Viarmo send you?
He did. He wanted me to tell you that we are able to convince Elisef and that the festival is back on.
I'll tell everyone we're ready. But we'll start the festival at dusk. Come talk to me after dark. We'll get the festival started when you do.
With that, we can wait for 8 hours until 9 o'clock at night and then speak to Yorn once more.
Ah, the bard-to-be. Did Viarmo send you?
That's strange. I could have sworn you said the exact same thing earlier. Never mind. The festival is back on, Yorn.
Great. Looks like you'll be one of us soon. We'll gather outside the college for the burning of King Olaf.
One by one, the bards of the college step outside to attend the festival. Not wanting to miss any of the fun, we can follow.
Welcome, people of Solitude! We of the Bards College are pleased to be here to celebrate the burning of King Olaf. The festival would not have been possible without the dedication and hard work of our latest applicant. With the lighting of the effigy, he becomes a full-fledged member of the Bards College. Please welcome our newest bard.
Gee, someone really needs to teach these people how to clap. I mean, what is that?
So nice to get this break from my cleaning duties.
I think they like you.
So, I'm a bard now?
Yes, congratulations. You are now a full-fledged member of the Bards College. Due to your adventurous nature, several of the college professors have some things they wish you to do. What's more, Elisef has declared the burning of King Olaf should become a weekly event. And finally, there's the matter of the patronage that Elisef wanted me to give you.
With that, we complete the quest, Tending the Flames, and emerge as the newest member of Bards College. It seems as though our work is just beginning, however, and we'll find out what these professors need us to do in next week's episode. One of the things I liked most about this quest was having the chance to fight alongside the ghost of Svaknir as he got his revenge on King Olaf, the very man who sentenced him to death hundreds of years earlier. It was some good old-fashioned payback centuries in the making, and on top of that, Svaknir was a surprisingly good companion. Fighting by his side was truly an honor. I also liked how Bethesda allowed you to complete King Olaf's verse with your own story, though I'm not quite sure if selecting different lines would have affected Elisef's decision. Is there any scenario where she upholds her decision to ban the festival, or is it scripted so that she accepts the verse no matter what it says? If you know the answer, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, click on the thumbs up icon below to show your support, or better yet, subscribe to my channel so that you can stay up to date on all of my latest content. I post new videos on Skyrim every single Friday, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure to check back next week for more Skyrim lore, commentary, and analysis. For those who are fans of the Fallout franchise, I also post new videos on Fallout 4 every single Tuesday, so be sure to check those out as well. But that's all for now, folks. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.